What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the next game review, and this is a game that I am actually really excited to be talking about with you all today. While this particular game may not have been in my most anticipated games of the year video, at the same time, when I first saw a trailer to this game showcasing the story and the gameplay, the combat, I figured this would be a game that I'd have to talk about with you all. Moving on with today's review, I'm here to talk about Immortals of Aveum. This is actually a brand new and kind of sort of original first-person action adventure game developed by brand new developer Ascendant Studios, which I do want to say right now, I am so sorry to hear that 40 developers were being laid off as a result of this game not selling well, because I just want to get off the bat and say this, guys. This is a game that I definitely feel deserves a lot more attention and a lot more love out there. Just to be fully transparent, I was sent a review copy of this game, and the footage that you're seeing is captured on an Xbox Series X. Really quick, I would like to apologize that I'm a bit late on this one, only because, like I mentioned in my review of Dead Space, there are just so many damn games to play, and I'm also working on projects that are coming out in October, so again, my apologies that it took a little bit to get this review out, but hey, it is finally here, and I'm excited to be talking about this one. So in Immortals of Aveum, we follow a sorcerer named Jack, who after an event happens at the beginning of the game, joins an elite order of battle mages to save a planet on the verge of, well, let's just say, really bad shit happening. Immortals of Aveum was a game that when I first saw footage, it looked like something that, despite the game looking like it'd be such a bombastic story, the gameplay looked like a lot of fun, and knowing that Darren Barnett of Never Have I Ever fame from Netflix, which by the way, a great show that I highly recommend you guys all check out, was voiced the main character, I was like, you know what? Darren Barnett is a very charismatic actor, and knowing his voice in the main character and given how the gameplay looked a lot of fun, let's see how this game does. And guys, I'm so happy to say that this is such a really good time of a video game, with some things I will say later on, but for the most part, I'm really happy to say that Immortals of Aveum is such a good time. With all that being said, let's get into Immortals of Aveum. One of the things I thought was so damn cool about this game was the world building. Immortals of Aveum, starting off, has this really cool, I mean, to say the least, cool is understand, but this game has such great, and I mean great world building, being thrust into this world that the more you play into this game in terms of the storytelling itself, the more it unfolds, especially when it comes to certain plot twists. This is a game that sets up its world very, very well, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, despite this game's shortcomings, this is a game and a world that I'd love to see a sequel or hell, maybe even a franchise out of. I am just saying, as you get more into the game and as you pick up these lore books and as you pick up these letters, it builds and builds this world that is not only, again, really cool, but it's a world that is really worth exploring. Something else that I really enjoyed about this game were the charismatic characters. In particular, like I mentioned, Jack voiced and I believe motion captured by Darren Barnett. I thought that Darren Barnett brought such a really likable personality to a really cool character. Even had some really funny moments. There's another particular character, I can't remember what her name was, but she plays this person that recruits Jack, and I thought she was such a great charismatic character. Again, if there's something I liked about the majority of the characters, it was that these characters were very likable characters that you grew attached to. Given how this game ends, this is a game that I would not only love to see a sequel to, but heck, even a franchise, despite this game selling very poorly, which it's just such a damn shame, which I will talk about later on. Moving on to the next thing, and honest to God, this was the thing that I loved the most about Immortals of Aveum, but that is the gameplay. The gameplay of this game is so much fun. When I first saw footage of Immortals of Aveum, this is a game that looked like it would be essentially Doom, but with magic. What we have here is a game that I would say for the most part is so much fun with its magic casting gameplay. Not only are there 3 specific spells that you could choose from, a blue spell, a red spell, and a green spell, one of them being essentially like a pistol, the red one being essentially like a shotgun, and the green one being like a submachine gun or just like a machine gun itself. I really liked how this game uses spells as a way to emulate first-person shooter gameplay. And on top of all of that, you have these really cool special abilities that you can use on top of your regular abilities. And there's also this really cool whip mechanic. There's a mechanic where you can slow things down, a stun mechanic, and there's like this ultimate ability in which you just spray and laser the fuck out of your enemies. Combine all that together, and not only do you have such fun first-person shooter gameplay, but really strategic first-person shooter gameplay in ways that I was not expecting. And in one way that will definitely compare this to Doom, keep moving, otherwise you are constantly going to be screwed. We're not going around and spell casting against enemies. You are doing some pretty fun puzzles, and I mean these puzzles are actually a lot of fun. Whether it's finding these color-coded areas to get to either a certain treasure chest of the game, or we're using these like little animate areas, which is the animate stuff I thought was really cool, by the way, but still the gameplay altogether that was a lot of fun. Something else I gotta mention this, and I have to give credit to Jake Baldino for saying this, which by the way, go watch it before you buy it if you haven't watched this before you buy it. This is a game that felt like an old school adventure game in which you just go around in a single player campaign, use spell casting, blow shit up, and meet charismatic characters. Despite this game being a AAA title and a new generation with a new generation of consoles, it still manages to feel like just like an old school adventure. One particular thing that I absolutely loved about this game was the color palette. Immortals of Aveum, where it lacks in one particular area, which I'll get into in a little bit, it makes up for with having such an explosive color palette. Whether looking at the colors of blue, red, and well, green, yellow, there's certain aspects of the world itself is just bursting, I mean absolutely bursting with color. And like I mentioned to y'all earlier, combine that with the really cool world building, and you have areas in this game that, while it may not look in certain areas particularly great, it makes up for with such a really cool palette to it that I could not get enough of. One more thing in particular I must talk about. The RPG elements in the game I thought were so well handled, and the RPG elements were definitely a lot deeper than I expected. There is a loot-ish mechanic of the game where after you get to a certain point where you're looting treasure chests, or if you defeat certain enemies, you get either a new sigil for your spell casting, new bracelet. Like for example, when you upgrade a certain sigil, you'll either have updated rate of fire, power, or capacity before you have to reload, or your health is going to be better. Not only can you craft new things, but you can upgrade pretty much everything that's in your inventory. Like I said to you guys, the RPG element in this game is not only really cool, really in depth by the way, but there's an element that I was definitely not expecting.
Ah! God damn it!
This game is without its flaws. First of which being this, the graphics. It's not that the graphics aren't bad or anything, because the graphics are good, but the graphics just aren't particularly great. For a game that was built on Unreal Engine 5, which is like the new thing for game engines, I was expecting this game to not only look with a great color palette, but to look absolutely amazing in detail. When you see close-ups on characters, the skin just doesn't look nearly as detailed, nor does the armor. In white shots, the light does reflect off the suit and the armors in the game. Really cool, but it's just the detail that's really missing. As far as I'm aware, this is a game that was rendered in 720p, and it was upscaled to 4K. To Ascendant Studios, I completely get this was your first game, but why do you think that upscaling from 720p, which by the way isn't quite full HD, to 4 times the amount of that. It just doesn't work the way you think it would. And unfortunately, there are times where you could definitely tell that the upskilling just did not work. The game isn't like ugly per se, but you can definitely see that the upskilling just did not work in its favor. Let's talk about the writing. The writing at times, especially the humor, oh my god, it can be really, and I mean really cringy. There were some lines in this game that once I heard them, I just thought, they passed that line of dialogue, are you serious? And just some of the humor altogether just does not work, and it just feels really forced. During the combat, there are times where it can be a little bit too chaotic to the point where there is just so much going on, to a point where, let's just say, you can kind of get your ass kicked if you're not automatically doing stuff already. Some of the boss fights are kind of repetitive in terms of design and how the boss fights look. Do I personally think this game is worth $70? Personally, no. I'd actually wait until this game goes down to like, what's it, like $40, maybe $50. $70 for a game like this, I just think it's just asking a bit too much personally on my end. So overall, Immortals of Aveum is a game that I had such a good time with. I really wished, and I'm hoping it still succeeds later on, because given what happened to the studio of the game soon after its release, it is a damn shame, because I personally believe that Immortals of Aveum will go down as a game that, while it may not have gotten a lot of love at the time, I think that people will discover this much later down the line. All in all, I'm going to give Immortals of Aveum a 7.5 out of 10. Immortals of Aveum is a game that I genuinely hope that people discover and play later online, because I genuinely think the Immortals of Aveum is worth your time. Do I think it's worth $70? Probably not, but I do think that down the line, you should most definitely pick this game up at a sale price and just have a good time with Immortals of Aveum. So comment down below and let me know. Have you guys played Immortals of Aveum? What you all think of the game? Let me know below. If you guys want to follow me on social media, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm also on Twitch. So if you guys want to follow me on all those social media platforms, all the links and the usernames are in the description below. I hope you'll enjoy my review of Immortals of Aveum. If so, please hit that like button, also subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell for when my next review goes live. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please go to the left or right side of the screen. And of course, until my next review video goes live, I will see you all next time.
Go to the next altar.